Hey, it's Kent over at Zamplo, and in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you a new feature or a new set of filters, I guess you could say, that we've released within Zamplo. One of these things is something that we've had a lot of requests for, so I feel like it's going to be something that makes a lot of you very happy. But at the export data page, there's now 4 new filters that I want to draw attention to, and then I'll mention why they are unique or special. But those filters are the APN filter under parcel location, under parcel owner, the owner name, and then under classification, the subdivision plat tract filter, and then the legal description filter. So these are wildcard searchable filters. And what I mean by that is you're able to say that you want to include or disinclude or remove certain parcels that have a word in it or that start with a certain APN number or things like that. The APN one is probably going to be the most commonly used one because a lot of people, they know certain APNs within a county that they really want to go after because maybe it fits a certain kind of criteria or things that are within the buy box in a really easy way. So, for example, if you come into Colorado and Castilla County, the APN filter is something that you could use. You might do all the same thing where you put in your acreage size that you want. For now, I'm just going to skip over that and we'll say empty lots only. And then I'll say I only want APNs that start with 712 maybe. And I'll hit %. And that's important to know how these wildcard searches work. So the percentage after the digits in this case means that we want to match all APNs that start with 712. So when I hit the plus symbol, it's then going to add only those parcels that start with 712. Now, if I wanted to exclude APNs that had 712, because maybe they're, for whatever reason, it's in a subdivision or in an area where there's a lot of restrictions and it just doesn't fit with your goals of the parcel and how sellable you want it to be, essentially, you could say I don't want things that start with 712. And you could use it in reverse like that to remove all of those parcels. So that's another way. Now, if you wanted to include anything that had 712 anywhere, which for this scenario is probably not as commonly used, then you would put it kind of like bracketed within these percentages. Or if you wanted to say that it needs to end with 712, then you could enter it with percentage at the front. And then that's basically saying that the last 3 digits are going to be 712. So I know that's a highly requested feature, one that we think is going to get a lot of action. The other opportunities with this, I think, will serve those that are, I'll say, experts or they're super knowledgeable about certain counties or states and, different bills and restrictions and things that they can do. And so the legal description, the subdivision, if you know there's a certain subdivision that you want to go after, or at the flip side, if you wanted to avoid because, it's an HOA and you really just don't want to have to worry about, paying monthly, quarterly, annually fees while you're holding that parcel trying to sell it, then you could match the subdivision name either for what you're looking for or for what you want to avoid. One example or use case in Colorado, which we're here in now, is that there was a bill. It was Senate Bill 35, and it was passed in June 1972. And essentially, it created a law that allowed for well permits in subdivisions that were platted before that date. So anything that was platted before that date, it's fair game to have a well, and therefore it's probably going to be a more valuable property. After that date, generally it's going to be harder to get water and you have to haul it in some way or find out some alternative method. So if you want to only mail those properties that can get wells and you've done your kind of due diligence and you figured out, that there's certain legal descriptions or APN ranges that were maybe platted before 1972, you could then go in after those subdivisions either by name or by using the legal description. And so in an area, it's Wild Horse Mesa, you could come in here and say, okay, I'm going to look for Wild Horse. And so you could do something like this. You can get down to the specifics of exactly what it is. And then so we'll go ahead and add that. See how many that we get there in Wild Horse Mesa. Okay, perfect. So 3,467, and then matching the legal description. So you might decide that, okay, units A through F, they can get well permits, but sections A and C, they're at a lower elevation where wells are generally a more reasonable option. And then sections D and F are up on the mesa, and so it's at a much higher elevation, and attempts to drill have produced, a lot of dry wells there, and, for that reason, maybe they're not as desirable. So you want to go after sections A, sections B, and section C. So what we can do here is we can go to the legal description and we can say, I want it to include the phrase, section A. And again, this is obviously somebody that's more knowledgeable about the area that may be using it for something like this, but we're going to go after section A. We're going to add that, and then it's going to narrow it down to that. There's 70. We might say, okay, we're also going to do section B, and then while I'm here, we would do section C. And that's basically saying there's obviously more to the legal description than just the section alone. So that's why I'm putting it in, bracketed in those percentages for the wildcard search. And then we narrow it down to those parcels in that area that fit those requirements, where getting a well permit would be something that is far more easy than, other parcels in that area. So if you have any questions, this is just one scenario. We anticipate there's going to be a lot of different scenarios and creative ways to use these wildcard searches. But get in there, test it out. If you have questions or want to talk through a certain scenario that you have in mind, let me know. And as always, looking forward to hearing what everyone thinks.